So on this machine, it's called XD User, whatever how to say it. On that one next to us, there's actually a little menu up here, and there's a menu button, and you change it right here. So in this case, I can go to my 15, so that's my linear, that's this guy right here, and it will set me up for my linear. And so it's got to have a different, okay, hello, wake up, different footprint because it's a flat transducer, totally different looking, and then we can go back to our 6.
Now, what do they do again?
Just switch our probes.
Okay.
So I could go from this probe to this probe. Yeah, just switching our probes. And then new patient. So we did that kind of when we started the exam, that beginning end exam. Exam selection. So when we initially started, when we initially started, SHB, we started in the abdomen setting. So begin imaging. But say I wanted to change that, I could go up to this button, exam presets, and now I want to do, we're doing a pelvic. So, and these presets we'll talk about in physics, they each have a different power level. Remember I talked about the OB isn't going to be quite as penetrating because they expect the amniotic fluid, whereas the abdomen is going to be more penetrating. So sometimes I'll have a patient I can't see very well on, so I might have to do an abdomen setting on an OB patient. So sometimes we have to switch around during the exam. Review, let me take some images real quick. Store. And these are our focal zones. I'll get into those in a second. Store. Okay, so review. So I have a button for review right here. Boop, and it will show me the images that I just took. So we can go to full screen. And so when you guys get, and there's a page button to go between however many you have, when you guys get to printing, this is what you'll do. You'll save everything to the hard drive, then you'll go back in, and then you'll print the appropriate images, because some of them are going to end up poopy and you don't want them. So that's your review button. And then let's talk about focus. So on this machine, it's called position. Let me hang this up real quick. Our beams are shaped like hourglasses. And the waist of the hourglass is where we have the best, what we call lateral resolution, a resolution across our beam. So each one of these focal zones corresponds to an hourglass waist. Ideally, we want these to be at or below the structures that we're looking at. Some machines only have one, like this guy only has one, then you can add more. In this case, I can add up to 4. So you can kind of slide them up and down. We're going to kind of stick to a very low numeric foci number. So the more I have, the more hourglasses I have, the more time it takes to process that, and the longer it takes my images to kind of keep up in real time. So with abdomen, we typically use like 1 or 2, and then as we get into superficial structures and that my beam isn't in there as long and it doesn't have as much time to process, then we can get away with the higher numeric value of foci. But those are our foci. In this case, they're called position, so I can move it up and down with the little spinny button, or I can click it and change the number of foci that I have. Okay. Print images. So when you're so right here, we're image store, so that's going to save it to the hard drive, or I can push print if my printer's on, and it will print out. When you are reviewing your images, when you're like, I want to print this one, you'll just simply put the print button. What else are we missing? The freeze button. Freeze. Okay, you got that one. And then one thing that's nice about these machines, so say, go ahead and big breath in and hold it. So say I do what we call I'm moving through, the aorta went by, I really wanted to see that, and I can freeze, and actually go back in my frames and find that image again. And sometimes when you freeze, it's a little bit furry, or your patient lets their breath out, or you're doing an OB and the baby's like, zzz, and you're like, I need that thing. And so you can actually go back in frames and see what everything's got going. So that's called our cine. And when you guys are doing this, all right, fledgling sonographers, remember that whammy button game where you're like, whammy, no whammies, or whatever. You just have to be gentle, you just have to slightly push it, but you're gonna be like, I saw it, but you can always cine back, so don't worry, it's not going anywhere. And then as far as, let's get one more of you. Go ahead, big breath in again, hold it. Go ahead and breathe. Okay, so we also have things, we're gonna measure things. There's 2 buttons that do the same thing. I can do calipers on or off. It's gonna give me a caliper and I can cruise him around. I can set him with my side buttons, or I can lock set. If I were to print this image, it would look the same as if I push lock set. So I never do the lock set, I just print the image, I just save the image. If that makes sense. It doesn't matter, I mean, who cares? The other thing we can do is this add caliper button. So I can do caliper, So I have this guy, and then I'm going to add another set of calipers.
Okay, can you explain what is caliper?
So when we measure things, so we're going to measure all kinds of stuff, right? Length of baby parts. So this is the aorta. We're going to measure the width of the aorta. So caliper is just your marker for where you're measuring, and it will measure the distance between these two things.
Or is it on the screen 120 millimeters? What do you... Oh, over here.
Yeah,
Got
so
it.
distance, yep.
Distance.
So 120 millimeters is, I think, all the way in. Yeah. But yeah, this is just this. Okay, how's that feeling for you? I think that's about it.